Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and I appreciate you tuning us on in as we got Science Grandpa coming on tonight, as Science Bob's daughter just gave birth to a beautiful little girl. So make sure in the chat room you give him a warm congratulations on being Science Gramps for the 6th time in his life. We're going to have a great show talking UFOs, and the best part about tonight, each and every one of you are here as well, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Eternity Eternal with a silver, race fan, not happy at all with another bronze medal tonight. The gorgeous and talented Kira, how are you tonight? As we continue on with our roll call, up next, who do we have? We have Chris 716. We have next T-Bone, my man. How are you, brother? Good to have you here. Robert Lamothe, thank you for coming on in. And let's see here. Who else do we have? Lots of Kira up top here. Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Science Bob says he will not do this show unless Mel lubes him up all over, even under the armpits. So Mel's lubing the armpits of Science Bob right now as we speak. Moving on down. Moving on down. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Scrolling on down, who's next on our list? Tracy Alien Girl. Millennium, my man. David Norenberg, good to have you here. Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? Yep. Get that episode 3 going, my friend, because we're going to need it. Oh, my God. Thomas Rock, Jeremy Jones, how are you? Bob Thor, how are you, my friend? Bob Thor will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. JSCO, Walter Kochabinski, Undead Jed, good to have you all here. Number 6 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, apparently he's a power play specialist. Tyler 420, how's it going? Kurt M, good to see you. Hi, Amy WC. Amy WC will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Gorgeous Kim Jellin just finished brushing and flossing her teeth again. 4th time today. She is pearly white, let me tell you. Ozzy Ange, nice to see you. Bob Gray, J Truth Seeker, good to have you both here. Marty Burback, Operation Shutdown. How you guys doing? Thanks for coming on in. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Thank you for joining us. And Kitty Caddywhack, thank you for that wonderful super chat kicking things off. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Yeah, I don't know what this XP stuff is. I don't get it. It's a YouTube thing. They're beta testing it, and I don't get it. I really don't. Hey, it's their thing, not mine. Hillbilly Herb, how are you? Pam Harris, Fast Hemi, good to see you both. And Kevin Kennedy, thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, we say hello next to Paramarv. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. And, yeah, I think we're caught up. Oh, there's Super Knower and the lovely and talented Amanda. I read it wrong. I'm sorry. But Amanda's here. Spider Grandmother, how are you? Welcome to SOR Chat. And Randolph Guerra, how are you? Carrie Doyle, thanks for coming on in. Algaray over on Twitch. He did 400 leg presses at 500 pounds apiece tonight in the gym. All to warm up for Science Bob. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are in roll call on YouTube, prepping for Science Bob and Friends with Dr. Bob McGwier. And we're going to head over to the YouTube chat, say hello to our good friends. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Phew, I'm sorry about that. That came out of nowhere. All right. Who do we have here on our list? Steve Garza, good to see you tonight. Reminder, the Super Chat is open, as well as you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight. I think you're going to like it. Dr. Bob McGwier is here. We call him Science Bob around these parts. He's here to talk about a lot of UFOs tonight, but I think he wants to also have a little chit-chat about the photo that Tim James caught on camera. Could it be a Sasquatch? Could it be pareidolia? You'll have to go to our social media pages to check it on out. Then, in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is here with another creepy story. We're going to follow that up with Little Timmy James and the UFO report. Now, each and every month, we are joined by Dr. Bob McGwier. We've called him Science Bob around here for about 5 years plus now. And he comes in once a month to talk about not only the woo, but the who, what, where, when, why, and how it actually happens. Now, Bob is an ex-CIA member. He's ex-NRO. He is formerly of Virginia Tech University, running or helping run the science and mathematics departments. This guy is brilliant, but most importantly, his biggest title that he has on this planet is Grandpa. Because Science Grandpa just became a grandfather to a beautiful, beautiful baby girl from his daughter just a couple of days ago. It's his 6th grandchild, and I'm so excited for our friend Science Bob. Welcome back, Science Bob, and congrats on being a grandpa again.
I am very happy to be there. Here, I put it in the you could show it if you want to. So this is me holding my grandbaby in a rocking chair that my daughter insisted I sit there and rock her and sing the song I sang to all my kids. And of course, my eyes are full of tears there, red from bawling my eyes out.
That's a beautiful photo, my friend. Beautiful photo of you. Now, she looks so tiny. What was she, about 6-7 pounds?
Just a little over 6 pounds and 18 inches long. She's a tiny little thing.
Beautiful, Beautiful. Congratulations to you, your daughter, and your family on this beautiful new addition. And her name, do you mind sharing her name?
It's Reese Megan McAnally.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And you know what, Science Bob, we're so happy for you in becoming grandpa again, because there is only one thing that comes with that, and that's the magic of watching your grandchildren grow up. That is for sure. Very much for sure. So
being grandpa is the best job in the world.
It really is. I know that feeling. I do. I can't wait for it to happen again, but maybe in a few years. Yeah, a few years. We got a lot to talk about, my friend.
Whew. Tell me all about it.
You joining a certain group as an advisor. Stephen Greenstreet's article about UFOs and Arrow. Is there going to be more hearings? Are hearings dead? What's happening with the UAP club? Because they seem to be falling apart at the seams.
And SCU,
what's going on?
Don't forget
are you
SCU.
Surprised by all of this?
The UAP club's what a mess. But SCU is not falling apart. And wow, what a weekend that was.
What happened there, my friend? Jay
Stratton got up and told us everything we're all pent up and waiting for in the big movie. And from what I'm hearing, the secret keepers have stomped all over every streamer to get them to stop it. And they can't find a streamer. The government is fighting back.
For our radio audience, explain this. Go into detail about this, because this is important.
Yeah. So Farah revealed his new documentary. It's South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and who's who in government and et cetera that's dealing with UFOs, et cetera, got on stage and showed everybody, and then they previewed the new documentary from Dan Farah. And according to everyone that I have talked to that was actually gotten to see it, it's amazing. It's just, apparently it's a game changer. That's what everyone I've talked to that I trust and know says that has seen it. Then this past weekend through this week, we're hearing the rumor intelligence that with all the other stuff the secret keepers are doing to attack disclosure and try to get us off the bright path, they've stomped all over threatening distributors not to stream it. Prime, Netflix, all of them. They've been stomped on hard.
Now, who are the government keepers you're talking about?
The reverse engineering retrieval people. The ones who are the legacy program since 1947. They're real. They exist. And Phillips, we're going to talk about, did a major thing. And we have a lot to say about that to make sure that current people are aware that this is a continuation of 60 to 70 years of history of the same kind of thing over and over again. It's worked before. They're going to try it again.
Why do they want to keep this under wraps?
Fear for what it will do to DOD and intelligence agencies. That and corporations don't want to be charged with crimes or have $1 trillion lawsuit because they got a special treatment.
And that's what it's all about, covering their butts.
Yeah, that and or they're unready for the so-called unknown reason to worry about what's coming stuff. It's all of that stuff. They don't want to discuss it at all. And every time there's been a meeting, like Hal Putoff told us about being called to a meeting in which all of this was discussed like 10 or 15 years ago. And they chose then they unanimously chose amongst the groups put together to make a decision not to reveal because they can't figure out how to do it carefully enough. I think NHI has a vote, and it's time for them to show themselves. And they're doing some of that.
So what was the feeling coming out of the SCU meetings? The one thing that I noticed that was very public was the fact that they were shutting down any type of video or people posting about this. I mean, I think that's pretty, part of my lack of term, arrogant.
It's not arrogant in the sense that Jay Stratton came and gave a very, very special presentation, and stuff that concerns him has not been released yet. He told us things that have not been released yet that are in his book, in Dan Farah's documentary, and so forth. So everyone that went to SCU was told there's an embargo on the content of these talks until we let the videos out. And they're going to distribute every video was there. You'll hear every word that was said. But Jay Stratton put a condition on, and SCU acceded to it and told everyone who attended a precondition of coming was they could not release anything. And somebody took used a transcription app and put the transcript of Jay's talk out. And okay. I can tell you, there will be a legal investigation.
Over who leaked it.
And they will be charged.
Incredible. How does that contradict what came out in the Wall Street Journal and then Stephen Greenstreet's report on the New York Post today? Now, everybody is hammering Greenstreet because they feel he is just a UFO troll trying to dissuade people, and many people have even called him, a disinformation agent within the media of this topic as well. I thought the story was very well written on both parts, and what they are saying is exactly what you kind of said earlier in the show, which is that the government has been hiding and hazing people about technologies that were claimed as UFOs and alien descent, which were actually American technology.
So that's true, except parts of the article are not true. And let me give you the prime example. Salas was in the bunker, in the silo, when a UFO flew over the silo and shut down all 10 missiles under his command. And they did it to a bunch of other missile silos where Salas was the commanding officer of that group of missiles. The story they told makes zero sense. Zero. The government knew about electromagnetic pulses long before the Minuteman missiles were in the silos. And they prevented that kind of EMP from being effective. That's number one. Number two, Salas had a security team above him, just like every silo had a security team above them. People on the inside and people on the outside of the fence. All of them called down to Salas and his crewmate. There's two people that have to be in the silo to launch a missile. Two keys turned at once, missile goes. Okay. And they called down and said, Captain Salas, there is a UFO up here that's huge and orange and roiling. That was not somebody setting off an EMP device. because if the EMP device had actually been able to get an EMP all the way down to the missile, the circuitry for the silo would have been fried. The circuitry was not fried. They did a little something weird in the missile that required them to replace a board, but the board was not fried. EMP leaves a mark. It's a big mark on electronics. The entire story about Salas is a bald-faced lie. Okay, then too much of the story was clearly sourced from Kirkpatrick, and he's quoted and included in the article. And he's a known liar. Tim Phillips told about a program which existed that used UFOs to cover up secret tech being tested. Stealth airplanes, U-2, SR-71, F-117, B-2 bomber, all of those things have been called out as UFOs by people that don't know what one of those airplanes looks like. And the Air Force and the CIA used UFOs to help with the cover-up. That's a true story, but it has nothing to do with hazing, which if officers haze their subordinates in those critical national security situations they're mentioning, so help me, would be making little rocks out of big ones in Fort Leavenworth. It's crap. It's disinformation. It's crap. Now, I believe that Greenstreet published in well-written form exactly what he was told. He is not a friend of ufology, and so he was happy to do it, whether it was witting or unwitting.
I would look at Greenstreet, and I take him with a grain of salt. I do. But I thought his report was very thorough. I thought it was journalism. I think it adds a new conspiracy to the UFO world, not the UAP world.
Which existed. It existed. It absolutely existed.
Absolutely. I thought he did very well. I mean, what he's done in the past on attacking ufology and calling us a bunch of wingnuts, and, I'm paraphrasing there, so don't quote me on what he said. I don't like that. I'm an experiencer as well as a journalist. Now, I never worked for the New York Post. I worked in Vancouver. But nonetheless, I think that I wouldn't say that he's a friend of ufology, but I wouldn't say he's the worst enemy out there either.
No, I don't say that. I just said he was happy to do it. He was happy to do it, given they gave him multiply sourced pieces of information.
Oh, and why not? Why not? It also, marks what he has been studying. But I think, though, a lot of what he's saying about others is starting to come to fruition. We see a lot, Bob, of people who are the sheen seems to be gone from their ever presence of being the kings and queens of ufology.
Oh yeah, well, you're not going to get me to argue about that. So I had a choice: Contact in the Desert or SCU. That was an easy choice. Go where, I have friends that went to Contact in the Desert and they had a good time, but it's a gigantic UFO alien party, and SCU was really serious people talking about doing serious stuff on how to prove things that we need to know. And it was just a no-brainer. And SCU was fantastic.
Well, I bet it was. I absolutely bet it was. Just curious, though, like getting back to the fact that, Tim Phillips admitted that the United States government and military has been, shuttling programs, secret programs under the UFO banner, or I guess that would be the UAP banner, because they're not UFOs, in order to try and hide it. I mean, one of my sources told me once that when he was working at a certain base, that he was often told by pilots, well, let's go make some UFO reports tonight.
Yep.
He didn't know what they were flying because, you're only on a need to know. And if
Oh, yeah.
and if you have Lockheed Martin testing out a secret craft, everybody else on that base, whether it's British Aerospace, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, Raytheon, Palantir, or whoever, they got to close their windows, close their doors, and their teams must be inside during the takeoff process and the testing process. Right?
Yep. That's absolutely. And they were, almost every major new airplane development throughout the development of the bombers and stealth era was thought to be a UFO when it was sighted. And they used it. And they should have, because they're trying to prevent their adversaries from figuring out what things are.
Absolutely they are. Absolutely. So the fact that this has come out, what kind of reaction do you think this is going to get when it starts gaining steam?
I think it's gotten the peak reaction it's going to get.
You don't think it's going to gain any more?
I think it's crested and falling.
You think it's because people already know and they're just like, yep, there we go again? Or is it the mental frustration?
People know that the government lies. And this is just another government lie. And this is like, it don't matter which political party you're in or whatever. People know the government lies, and this is just another government lie, and everybody knows it. And I don't know whether you've watched politics in the United States, but UAP, UFO has been a bipartisan issue in Congress, which is rare these days.
It is rare, but I think what we are starting to see, Bob, is we have 2 minutes to go before the break. I think we are starting to see a real division of something you and I have been talking about for the last 5 years on this show, and that is, and I'm going to say it again, and people are going to roll their eyes at me when I say this, okay, because they've heard it so much, but we are seeing a clear definition between UFOs and UAP, UAP being man-made objects, UFOs they're trying to not talk about.
Yep. And Lala and I see triangle UAPs fly over our house and on our highway. We've seen it multiple times. And she feels it's not NHI. There were men inside.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, but it still doesn't, as we push and see the divide happening, it still doesn't hide the fact that, when Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick was the head of Arrow and Tim Phillips worked under him, he was still caught lying on a few occasions. The one that catches my memory the best, when he was trying to deny that he ever had a meeting with Brandon Fugel about Skinwalker Ranch, saying the meeting never took place, he's never met the man, and yet Fugel posts pictures on X calling him a liar with being in the room while Fugel's presenting and Kirkpatrick is sitting at the desk.
And what I love so much about that photo is the anger on Kirkpatrick's face as he looks at the cameraman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that was
priceless.
Salty.
It's
salty.
So priceless.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But in the end, it ended up being proof, which also defends what you're saying, that there is still a lot of cover-up going on. Yes, this program was happening. Yes, they were calling, new technology UFOs and hiding them for years under that banner, but that still doesn't fully discredit the fact that there may be UFOs out there that are being studied, crash retrievals, as well as maybe the impacts of having alien bodies in test tubes somewhere underground, maybe at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Who knows? Science Bob and Friends continues on Spaced Out Radio. When we return with Science Bob, what the hell's he doing with Skywatcher? How did that happen? It's been a couple months since we had Science Bob on. We're going to get to the gamut of it all coming up next. All right, we're clear.
Do I sound better?
You sound beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I turned it up and got closer. Somebody in the chat complained that I wasn't loud enough.
You lost a bunch more weight, dude. I think you gave it
Oh,
to
yeah.
me.
Yep. It's going slowly but surely. It's a few pounds a month, but that's the rate I can sustain.
That's good. That's good.
I'll be back in a second. I gotta do
no
something.
Problem. No problem. Woo-poo, how are you? AJ, how are you? Warden Dragon, good to see you. Bobbert, thanks for coming on in. Attorney to the EBEs, welcome back. Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Yes, you do. You got them aliens. You may not want to admit it yet, but you got them. Hook, line, and sinker. Dave Tiger Williams, how you doing? He'll drop the gloves for you. Oob, I got your message. That's creepy. Trot Dog, how are you? Yeah, I got the haircut and the beard trim earlier today. It's weird having short hair. I walked in to see my barber, Chad, and I'm like, dude, cut it off. And he's like, all of it? I said, yep, all of it. He goes, what do you want on the sides? I said, number 2, just clip the shit out of it. Leave the top a little bit longer. Look at sweet Robbie G there. He never clips the chin hair. That's why his chin hair is always looking good. We got to come up with a contest after the generosity of Area 51 last night, because I got to give away something for that. I do. I need to give away something for that. Thank you for that, Mike Bothwell. Yeah, that was a little, I felt a little undeserving after the first one. But that's his choice. Skip to my Lou, good morning. Jerence Carter, how are you? Gerrans. Thank you to Kitty Caddywhack ×2 and T-Bone, my man, for the great super chats tonight. Hi, Paul. How are you? We appreciate your love and support. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And here we go now. Here is the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got Science Bob with us, and we're having a great time talking to UFOs. I hope you are enjoying this so far. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Dr. Bob McGwier. We like to call him Science Bob around these parts. Why do we call him Science Bob? Because he's all about the science of UFOs and everything in between. Science Bob, good to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here, Dave. Especially after my flight back from California, I'm happy to be anywhere.
True. True. Now, literally, you caught a lot of people off guard when all of a sudden you announced that you had been named as an advisor to Skywatcher. How did this come along?
At SDU in 2022, several guys that were former people I knew in the intelligence community, worked for DOD and corporations, came up to me and talked to me about helping them help Space Force with UAP, and in particular, consider helping them use or gain access to the spacecraft I designed and built into a company called Hawkeye 360. At that time, you're kind of aware of kind of everything that happened during that summer. So during that time, Bob was depressed. Things had gone, we had been trapped in our home for 2 years. None of our relatives would vaccinate or wear a mask. And I had had heart attacks, and Sharon had had stroke. And so we had comorbidities, and we couldn't see any family, and we were utterly isolated in our 5 acres, a large house in the middle of nowhere. And we got depressed, and it was rough. So I didn't want to do anything, much less talk to them about all that. And I had given up my security clearance, which is always a traumatic event for somebody who has been in for a while. Anyway. So Skywatcher's announced, people get going, I get excited, I talk about it, and told Ross Coulthard, man, that looks great. I really hope I can find some way to help them. And Alex reached out to me and said, please come on a Zoom call on the following Monday, and the team and I would like to talk to you about you helping Skywatcher. So the meeting was held, and 2 out of the 4 people I knew, the other one I met but didn't remember meeting, and Alex. And they said, we would like for you to join Skywatcher. And look, you know, and I know that inside large communities in the U.S. government, I am really well known. And they knew me, and they knew my background, and they twisted my arm, and Dave, the things they said were embarrassing. They were so over the top. I mean, it was, they really wanted me. So they buttered me up hard for an hour and said, please be an advisor. So they sent me an agreement. I signed it. And they never sent it back executed. So I wondered what was going on. So we had a meeting at SCU with all the teams, Jake Barber, John Blitch, James Fowler, Joe Donato, others that are there, and the Jordan and Michael, the psionics folks, the whole bunch of them came. The one I wanted to see that didn't come was Fred Baker and Dan Paul. So they did not come. But anyway, we had meetings. And given what we were doing and talking about, it was probably the right decision to save the money and send the right people to the meetings. So they did. And in these meetings, the thing I can say is they changed their view of what they wanted me to do. And they have changed some of their plans in terms of the growth. And it's Skywatcher is about to grow. And they have things they want me to do to help its growth. And that's more than being an advisor. They have technical work they want me to do in addition to be an advisor. And so major things will happen in this summer. I can't tell you about it now, but it's major. And they're already planning their next outing to do other videos and sightings and so forth. And they're going to work on gathering data and talking about it and so forth. So this is a big summer, and they have longer term view of my relationship than was initially indicated.
Okay. That opens up a bunch of questions, Bob, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little hard hitting here with you, if you don't mind. I'm not usually, but I am, because, you know, the one thing that Skywatcher has done that I disagree with wholeheartedly is they play the public card and then say they want nothing to do with the media, the podcasts, the people of ufology who are the ones who are going to support them. I know they've got big funding, but you're a part of ufology. You're someone who is ingrained within this community, and here you are working now with a group that has literally said to ufology, get the hell out of here. We don't need you. TTSA made that same mistake, and look where they ended up. Have you?
Well, I gotta tell you, I don't detect that as an attitude in any of these meetings. They want to control the narrative, but they don't want to have zero to do with it. And so their forays have been, well, of course, the big names that are covering UFOs right now. So I understand that to them, it's economical of their time and energy. Ross Coulthard has a big footprint. So does Jesse Michaels. And they're kind of doing what they feel is the best possible thing they can do. And what I can tell you from the rate in which they are available to interact, they are running with the pedal to the metal and their head out the window with their hair blowing, and they are still barely keeping up.
So that tells me that as a journalist, if I put my journalist hat on for a second and think down the middle, not with any sort of bias, okay, towards spaced out radio or anything, that what you just said, they don't have a media coordinator who can actually decipher the good shows from the bad shows and instead they are throwing the entire UFO community of radio shows, of podcasts, of YouTube channels into one blanket, unless somebody like Jesse Michaels or Ross Coulthart gives them the thumbs up.
It's not a blanket. It's that they simply don't have time, in my opinion, given what I have observed. So they've taken to what to them seems like appropriate large footprint audiences to get the message out, because they don't have time to do anything else. Literally, dude, they are working. They are really working hard. I mean, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, so who is controlling the media narrative with them then?
James Fowler.
Okay, in conjunction with?
He has an advisor named Matthew Pines.
Okay, so neither gentleman have any experience as media coordinators. So,
no. They literally right now they literally don't have a professional media coordinator that I'm aware of. They might, but I'm not aware.
Has it come up in conversation with them that the To the Stars Academy did that exact same thing, and it ended up costing them a lot of support?
I am unaware.
But the difference, let me finish, the difference between the To the Stars Academy and Skywatcher is Skywatcher has funding, TTSA was crowdfunding.
Yep. So that's a big difference. So nothing I have heard or been told says this kind of negative slant that your question implies. In other words, it's not been, I've heard no negatives. What I've heard is we're busy as hell. That's literally, if between negative and busy as hell, what I've heard is busy as hell. And all of my meetings have been filled with content until it ran over time discussing what needs to be done.
Okay. I'm going to change the topic after this. So instead of bringing people in who have knowledge of the subject and can talk about this subject with an intelligent level, they decide to go to a influencer in YouTube and bring Logan Paul into videos. Now, I understand. Okay, I'm not.
No. You got it wrong. They had nothing to do with Logan Paul being on site. Zero.
So how did and a guy with 30 million followers on YouTube just happens to show up where?
No, Jesse Michaels did it, not Skywatcher.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So to me, that is the.
Well, I think when we make these kind of statements, we need to be crystal clear.
I understand that. I understand that. So it still reflects on Skywatcher, though, who is ignoring the media requests that they have been getting. Now, for the record, I have reached out once to Mr. Barber. I have not reached out to anybody else on the team because of other people whom I have talked to within the UFO community who have stated that they are not taking media requests.
To my knowledge, that's true, but I don't have firsthand knowledge. And I'm just telling you, media presence was not discussed in any of my meetings.
So let's go to another subject that has bothered a lot of people regarding Skywatcher, because I do believe they are doing good work. I want to see them continue. I'm a woo guy. I'm a woo guy. Okay? But the name changing of everything. I mean, why can't they just accept the names that are there? Instead of calling an octagon UFO now an 8-con, or instead of calling it summoning or CE5, we got to go with psionics. They seem very drastically intent on wanting to change the names of everything.
I'm going to tell you exactly how that happens, because I've seen it happen before. You get a group of people who are being secretive. They're not talking to the world. They are 5 years into data collection. They made up their own names, and they're not going to change them.
Okay. But here's the thing: you a couple times now, you have actually what am I going to say here? I just lost my train of thought. I apologize.
Don't worry about it. Take your time.
Okay, so with the name changes and everything, I can understand if they've created their own language. Okay,
They did.
Here's
There's no doubt.
that's fine. But a couple of times now, you've said that they want to work privately. They want.
Oh,
to
no.
secret.
I said they did work privately. They kept
Okay.
everything secret. Their job is to give stuff away to the public, including data. So that's their intent, is not to be as crazy secretive. They want it, but I'm going to tell you what, there's going to be a point of presence through which everything flows out. That they have made clear.
All right. So who's controlling that point of presence? Because right now it's all part of a shell game and a narrative to control the story.
I'm not that to me is an incorrect characterization of it. And the people I told you, James Fowler and Matthew Pines, are kind of in charge of the public messaging. And It's just, there's been very little thought given to exactly what to do. And so they've chosen right now as minimizing energy and time, Jesse Michaels and Ross Coulthard.
Of course. Everything always seems to go back to Jesse Michaels. We've discussed that prior, and I just find that a little weird, how it all goes to a guy who's has been in this field for about 18 months, and he seems to be controlling the entire operation.
Well, I mean, his ascent is easy. He's rich. He's well connected. He's got access to anything he wants, and he is he's good at his job.
Well, I mean, I understand that. I could completely agree with that. But from a media standpoint, if you're looking at getting the message out, if you control the medium, you control the message. And that's exactly what has been happening over the last, especially 6 to 9 months, if not longer.
Yep. So here's what I think is kind of the driving constraints and forces that are going on. First of all, they're very hyper aware that given really good sensors and equipment, especially where they are collecting data, they could easily capture classified operations. And so they do share their stuff with government to see if they've accidentally captured anything they shouldn't broadcast. And to date, I am told by everyone I have asked, since I did ask, did anybody ever tell you no? And the answer was, no one has ever told us not to show something. We have shown everything we've captured.
Is Peter Thiel funding Skywatcher?
Absolutely. So Jesse Michaels tried to get Peter Thiel involved in funding UFO stuff. Peter Thiel told him he was not interested. And so no one has been able to get Peter Thiel to fund any major deal with UAP UFOs after whatever it was he did with whatever that silly app is, Enigma.
And you buy that?
Yeah. I don't believe I've been lied to because I don't have any evidence on it.
Who do you know who's funding them? Can you speak on that?
Yeah, it's Alex and his hedge fund friends.
Who's Alex?
The guy that's in the second video leading, the guy that brought everyone to Esalen, the guy that interviewed Gary Nolan in Colorado, et cetera. The guy who brought Carl Nell to Colorado. He is the CEO of Skywatcher LLC.
Okay. So I guess one of the things that I hear from the public is the fact that, and I've noticed it too, so I'm not gonna say I haven't noticed it and make this just about the public, because I've noticed it too, is that Skywatcher, seems to want to do things privately, yet they're very public about what they are trying to show. It's a little ironic if they're trying to work in private, don't want to deal with ufology. The narrative is controlled.
Guess who is the number one person holding up all that stuff coming out? You're going to be shocked.
I'm waiting.
You don't want to guess?
No.
Okay. They want to publish scientific papers. They want their data to be pristine. They want all of it to have complete control of provenance, and they don't want to do science by media. So now can you guess who's in charge of that control?
Well, there's a number of names. Could be Gary Nolan.
You got it. He is sequestering the data. He is doing everything he can to maintain provenance, the cleanliness of the data, because their goal is to publish scientific results and have complete markdown on every aspect of the data until it is not sequestered for being in a paper. And Gary Nolan's in charge of all that. He's the one that's making the rules on the data.
So does Jake Barber and them, because from what I've heard, Jake Barber's a nice guy.
Super nice.
I've heard he's a nice guy.
He definitely is.
And I've also heard, for the record, that Jesse Michaels is a nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Okay. So when I talk the way I am and being as direct as I am with you right now, it isn't, I want our audience to understand, this isn't about personality or the people. It's about the events that are going on. That, you know, people in the UFO world feel ripped off, okay, by the trail that is happening, because many people within the community are starting to notice the trends that are happening. Everything media-wise and YouTube-wise happens to fall on Jesse Michaels' hands or Ross Coulthart's hand. Not that there's anything wrong with those gentlemen for what they are doing. But when you're not spreading out the message, and you're not even going on some of the largest radio shows or media shows that focus on these topics, including this one, okay, people make assumptions and people make questions. And when they start questioning, if they're not getting an answer from the direct source, they're going to find out everything they can in a roundabout way. Sure, they may have to take the scenic route, but they're going to get their answers. There is no choice. So when I hear somebody from those people go on a podcast and say that, you know, basically the so-called journalists on this side are minor leaguers, they don't know what he knows, it's a little insultive when he's not communicating and has never been a journalist.
Yep. I understand your frustrations. And of course, I have zero control over it. I'm just telling you the things I know.
Oh, I hear that. And
I understand your frustration. You know, you're my friend, and there's been lots of stuff that's frustrating in this topic and any of those that are related. And it's just the kind of thing. Look, you got to remember, most of these people came from DOD and the intel community. Mm-hmm. And so they're accustomed to not saying anything to anyone. So this is new. And they're doing it in what they consider to be a controlled way while they feel their way ahead with input from others. That's exactly what's going on.
Well, then I would suggest, from a journalistic point of view and not a selfish point of view, whoever gave them that advice gave them bad advice.
So far, I couldn't possibly disagree more, because they are just doing great work.
Bob, this isn't about the work. It's about the accountability towards the public. If you're going to play in the public game, the public has a right to ask questions. That's all I'm saying.
Great. Fire away with questions. And if you get answers, great. I'm not in control of answering questions. As a matter of fact, I'm forbidden from mostly telling stuff that's going on the inside that's secret still. And there's stuff that's covered. I'm going to tell you it's a secret. But I'm going
Oh,
to tell
I
you
hear
stuff that I see from
I-
the outside that's just me commenting on what I've seen.
All right, that's Science Bob talking about Skywatcher. When we return with our good friend Science Bob, we're going to get into, are we really going to get more hearings? Do we want more hearings? Next on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
Somebody said I look like Skinny Bob.
All right, Science Bob. Hey, that was a good set.
Yeah,
That
it was
a good
good.
discussion.
I thought it went well. It was what it needed to be, and I gave you the answers I know and could give.
I loved it, and I appreciate that. I'm
Right,
going to
look,
put you.
if you wait until August to really get frustrated, because so much is happening, they can barely keep up.
I'll take your word for it. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to put you in the green room, okay? Be right back, everybody. Bring back Science Bob. And let's say hello to who came in late here. All right, Terry Hall, give us a mustache update if you don't mind. Hi, Sasha. Hi, Trucker Andrew. Marty Burbank, no, it's not sour grapes. It's actual questions that many in the UFO and media community want to have answered. It was a little passionate, I would say that. And Tim Mothman, how's your goatee? I could use a Baja Blast right now. Thank you to our super chatters tonight. Kitty Caddywhack ×2, T-Bone ×2, Mike Bothwell, Amy WC, and Joe Monk. Oob to you. Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate burning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Let's pull it up for you here. It is Juglandacious. Juglandacious is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our resident scientist, Science Bob, is here, hanging on out. We're going to get into the latest and greatest when it comes to hearings. Now, there is rumor once again, Science Bob, that we are going to have more hearings. Do you think we should? At this point, should we?
No. If they got more people, whatever, it'd be great. But until they can subpoena people, and with the subpoena containing the demanded testimony, and they can bring on David Grush's 40, they're a waste. And I don't want to see another hearing by these. I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to be harsh because I want people to understand the harshness and why I'm harsh. I'm tired of the hearings being done by nobodies. And I literally mean that. These are all junior freshman congressmen. They have zero clout. They can affect nothing. None of them has had a single bill they have authored passed in Congress. That's because the way the House works, committee chairs are God, and they control everything. And the committee chairs are controlled by House leadership. And so these people, they have no clout. They can't do what they want. They can't get their skiff. They can't get of this. They can't get of that. And the only one that's done anything smart at all is Burleson has hired David Grush. And that'll last until David Grush gets frustrated because Burleson's a nice guy, but he can't do anything.
Why do you think they keep recycling the same people?
In front of them as witnesses?
Yes.
Because none of the others will come forward until they are granted absolute immunity. And that's never coming. Just let me tell you. They're not going to get it.
In your inner circle that you were talking to about this subject, do you feel that this is a dead topic? Do you feel that this is just a waste of taxpayer money to even put on the display?
Government disclosure is dead. These hearings are going forward because leadership in concert with the people they work with in the executive branch view it as a valuable distraction. They don't think they can stop it, so let's just let them go ahead and give them nothing, so it's a distraction. I know I'm telling people stuff they don't want to hear and don't really want to believe, but it's just, you have to understand how Washington, D.C. works. And it's meant to keep things under the control of the executive, in this case, this Department of Defense and the intelligence community. They're going to give up nothing until a president of the United States orders them to, and none has.
So why do you think they keep going back to the well? What do you think Congress is looking for if they're already frustrated by what they've learned?
Pressure points. They keep hoping that sufficient pressure builds that the executive caves. They haven't achieved it yet.
And what is that goal overall, in your opinion?
Oh, there's kind of a plan for doing disclosure, but it's running into, of course, the opposition we see play out in the last month. And that's tell us just enough to let us know it's real. Tell us that we have craft and alien bodies, and please don't bother us because we can't show you anything. That's what they hope to get of us as disclosure. Some inside want to bring out the tech to benefit the planet Earth and our society. And that will happen only if the United States can dominate the exploitation of the technology. It's just problematic, Dave. They have all these competing factions. And I got news for you. Go look at the news. The distraction of what is going on in Washington is in the way of anything and taking all of the oxygen out of the room. People's lives all over the United States are about, imagine what you as a Canadian would feel if tomorrow your government said, no more health care, you're on your own, do the best you can. 70 million people in the United States will see that if they get their way. And that's not the only thing.
But here's one of the things that I have heard recently, and I'm curious to get your opinion on it. I have heard that this is a distraction to many other Congress people because they have basically Congress people with, lack of a better term, I don't know the American politics or how it works very well, but this, I'm just going by what I've heard, okay, that they are literally looking into the fact that they have Congress people who don't have much pull looking into this subject.
That's what I just got through saying. That's exactly what's happening.
Okay, so with that, are these politicians, whether it's Tim Burchett, Anna Paulina Luna, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, many others who have taken up the cause of this, are they looking at this as seriously as they should be, or are they doing this to try and make political points in other areas?
They are looking into it as seriously as they are allowed to, and no more. They're captive inside a pen. They're in a corral, and the gate's locked.
If it's not worth the time, and I'm going to change the subject after this, if it's not worth the time, then what would you like to see as somebody who's been on the inside, somebody who knows how that inside works? What are they missing? What are we missing?
Literally, we've got a huge pent up, lots of people with lots of knowledge that want to tell the public the truth They will never be able to because of the pieces of paper they signed before they went to work. And they can't get past it to tell us the truth. And it is frustrating to them, believe me. But a lot of them, I got to tell you what, they're giving up. And that's what the secret keepers are after. For both those that want to tell the secrets and those that are hoping for the secrets to grow frustrated and give up.
Does this affect the secret keepers at all, or are they just laughing at it?
Yeah, yes, because it's a grotesque expenditure of money. They have to conduct illegal operations against the American people. These bullying and lying and psyoping, those are crimes. They're still doing it anyway because nobody's going to charge them with the crime. You know, look, laws that are never used and never effective are a waste of time for having been passed. The laws are not effective because they're unenforced. Otherwise, Kirkpatrick would be charged with perjury for lying to Congresspeople.
Do you think then that with everything that is going on, that we're going to absolutely see any type of information come on out?
I have not much hope, and I'm not holding my breath. I hope it happens, but I don't have a lot of hope. Because, I mean, look, if 1 out of 10 things Jay Sands has told us is true, it's earth-shattering. And there are thousands of him. And he was a master sergeant. Imagine if a department scientist came out and told us stuff. Jay's a smart guy because I spent a lot of time talking to him. But he got a lot of knowledge from being in the room. Imagine if you're one of the leaders in the room coming out and telling us stuff. That would be a lot better. And it's just not going to happen until they're granted absolute immunity from prosecution for revealing what they were told and signed an oath not to tell. Okay, and there are a few that are risking everything, like Matthew Brown, David Grush, others that are risking everything to come out and talk. But so far, they've stirred us up, but they haven't stirred the public up much.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that I kind of brought to our audience last week about this, and that is, I personally think that the FBI taking over the investigation is just as much of a joke as Arrow is. Okay, when the call for defunding Arrow came out, now Christian Gillibrand kind of sided against, no, we're not going to be doing that. Well, it's her baby. Of course she's going to say that. Okay, but if Science Bob was to put an independent team together to look into this subject, who would be 5 or 6 people that you would put on that team that could do things right for the public rather than for the right of the government?
I would pick people that the sitting president of the United States would allow to work on this problem and publish stuff. Because until the president of the United States decides for it to come out, nothing's going to come out. Anything else, in my opinion, is a waste of time.
So you don't have a list of people?
I would want qualified people that the president of the United States would support. I'm being serious, real politic person. In Washington, D.C., you have to work the way it works or you're butting your head against a brick wall.
Well, I understand that, but there would be nothing. I'm being hypothetical here, Bob, on an independent panel. Who would be on your independent panel?
Oh, if I could choose people that were on the inside and they wouldn't go to jail for talking to me?
Or they don't even have to be insiders. They could be, other researchers, other journalists, other scientists.
Okay, so again, I know I'm not giving answers that are easy or likable, but any scientist is hamstrung without data. So until the insiders are allowed to give the scientists data, the scientists are guessing, and they're not doing science. And I wouldn't put my scientist peers in that position. The situation is unsatisfactory and disappointing. What we have to do is hope it changes. But right now, I'm not. Trump is distracted. He could be the disclosure president by waving a magic wand and a pen, but he's distracted by all sorts of other stuff.
Okay, so if you were then in a position of authority and putting a group together, if you kept it political, then it would never come out to the public. So that tells me, and I'm assuming here, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, but I'm assuming here then that you think that this subject, or there's a lot about this subject that needs to stay behind closed doors.
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt about that to me. Especially, look, anything the government got from reverse engineering things they found in craft that were crashed or brought down and used for the purposes of the Department of Defense or the intelligence community, I hope that never sees the light of day. The problem I'm really having is the persistent, nonstop claims that way back in the beginning when this really got heated up, the government classified basic science and basic research and would not allow it to be used to help the public. And that's bad. To me, that's just plain wrong.
But is there any other way to go at this point?
I don't see it. It's frustrating, but I don't see it.
So that leads to what you have been saying for the last couple months. You think disclosure is dead.
Right now, to me, disclosure is dead. So the thing I'm trying to do is help Skywatcher and others that I think are going to get data that can be shown to the public without being held back.
At what point does the public win on this, or is this just a losing cause?
I'm not willing to give up. I'm just saying it's not going to be easy. I don't want them to give. Look, if the public gives up, we're done. Because if the public gives up, Skywatcher and other groups, Sky 360, all sorts of groups, MUFON, whatever, they'll go back to the same old doldrums they used to be in, and nothing will happen. It'll be worse than the rumor mills of 30 years ago. It'll be back to the rumor mills of 30 years ago. And I just hope that doesn't happen.
The goal to shove it right back under the carpet, so that way the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist UFO club gets to do their thing as they want.
Yes, and grift and tell us about blue avians and 20 and back and whatever.
Well, be careful with the 20 and back, because our good friend Jason Sand says that he was a 20 and backer.
Yep. But I'm talking about the Corey Good, etc. version of 20 and back, the one that they were never on.
Do you think then, Bob, as we move forward, that the scientific community will give up the run on this subject then, if they're trying to push it back under the carpet, or are they still playing disclosure for dollars?
Who's putting disclosure proposals? I'm sorry, I missed it.
The scientific, many in the scientific community.
Look, no science can be done, especially in university settings and reasonable laboratory settings, unless their laboratories and the people that are working in it are funded to do the work. There's a lot of crap said about scientists being grifters. They can't do any work without money. It just is the way it is. Their equipment and their students and their lab people are not free.
Oh, I understand. The scientific community is definitely needing funding in order to move things forward. But on the flip side, it's not too hard to understand that with all of these different groups, I mean, if you take Gary Nolan, for instance, once again, not a shot at Gary, but every UFO group, UAP group out there has his name tagged to it. Same as Jacques Vallée or Avi Loeb. Now, that's not discrediting their work, but it sure is discrediting, the purpose, I think. It dilutes it.
Yep. I don't disagree. I'm just telling you, but we're right now. I'm not uplifted by anything going on in government on this topic, nor do I think it's going to get any better anytime soon, because the government is totally distracted with all sorts of stuff, and the stuff to me, the stuff the government is distracted by is more important than this happening right now. I want to collect data, so I don't mind doing work. I don't mind working on collecting data and helping others to collect data, but I don't want my government distracted away from the serious problems we are facing.
So if we're not going to know what the data says or what the data turns out, what's the point of collecting the data?
No. The external people can collect all the data they want because the government has no control over it, unless we turn into a dictatorship and freedom of expression and speech is ended permanently. They can't control what private entities do unless they change the Constitution and the makeup of the United States of America.
We got 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Dr. Bob McGwier, we call him Science Bob, is here, hanging on out with us, talking about UFOs and everything in between. And Bob, we are going to get to audience questions when we return on Spaced Out Radio after the break. But before we do that, is there a happy medium that we can find in between the field of ufology as well as the scientific and political side of this story? Because the two sides right now seem further apart than ever.
Dave, a scientist, a serious scientist that can work on this would look at your chat room and run. They don't want anything to do with them.
I understand that. We've had people say that on this show. Rich Hoffman, as a matter of fact, said.
Yeah, and I hate to say Rich is right, and I hate that he is right, but he is right.
Well, it is something that, keeps the divide going. And yet Gary Nolan on one side of his mouth says that if it wasn't for the experiencers in the UFO community, we'd have no leads.
You're not going to get an argument from me. What can I say?
It is confusing. Science Bob, we'll get to audience questions when we return from the break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Good job, Bobby.
I'm sending you a tough note. And I do mean it. Don't think I'm playing. You make a decision, but the consequences are easy.
Are you heading anywhere for summer holidays?
Let me see. What have I got coming up? I'm trying to get to Cosmic Summit so that I can spend time with my buddy Chris. Look, Lala's art business. Wow, Dave, as we talked about, it's really taken off, and she's literally working 7 days a week. It's hard to see how to take a long time off. We're doing stuff. I mean, Xander's out of school and we're doing stuff, but it's just hard to see how to go off for a long period of time.
Are they out of school there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, my boy goes right until the end of the year, end of June. Yeah, the end of this month. Mama Catherine's here. Mwah, I love you, Mama Catherine. Hope you're having a wonderful night. How was your nap before the show?
Mama Catherine, I had a nod off before the show, so I would nod off in the show because I don't want Joe Monk making fun of me.
Oh, Joe Monk. Joe Monk. Oob to Joe's Maine. He got aliens.
He's got aliens.
He got aliens. We got 3 minutes left. I'll try and get to all the questions tonight, Bob.
Well, that trip was long. I'm pooped. I slept 3-hour nap to get ready, and I'm ready to go to bed.
I had a long day today too, man. Monk says, Sleepy Science Bob, I've never made fun of you, or I'd never make fun of you. I got to get my eyes checked. My eyes are so itchy.
What, your glasses not working again?
I think I need a new prescription, to be blunt.
Yeah, I had to have a new set done here last year, and I guess I'll have them. My eyes are stabilizing, so the rate of change is not as bad as it was. So that part's good.
Got about a minute to go here, buddy.
Good dokie.
All right, let's go here. And a big thank you tonight to Kitty ×2, T-Bone ×2, Mike, and Oob, and Amy, and Deadman, and Lou. Thank you for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support of SOR. And Sleepy Science Bob coming up next. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And, of course, hope you enjoyed Grant and Lee before this show. And Friday night, Lee and Tim. And then Sweet Robbie G this weekend for the after hours. It's a complete week of awesomeness. Yeah, awesomeness. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the, what am I going to say here? The second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate burning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. And I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on PayPal? What the hell is that? Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. There we go. Got my tongue.
Patreon makes it easy.
There we go. Final time tonight, we introduced Dr. Bob McGwier, a.k.a. Science Bob. And I got to tell you, man, before we get to some audience questions, what do you think? Pareidolia or something else? I know you have an interest in our photo that we put up there.
Yeah, did I put it back up? Yeah, I did.
Here. There you go.
Oh, yeah. So.
There you go.
Yeah. So I got to tell you. Looks like a nest with a Sasquatch head and shoulders poking right above the nest if you zoom in enough.
I do. So just for the record, on that photo that we released earlier today, okay, I am having some professionals take a look at that to see if it is pareidolia or something else. I want a professional opinion on that. And I sure as hell am not the professional to make that choice. That is for sure. So it is kind of interesting. But I'll tell you, Bob, that spot that we are at it is so hot for weird stuff right now. Weird stuff. We actually, Tim and I came out driving out. We had a hitchhiker attached to us. And when the hitchhiker was released by Robin, you actually saw the back of our vehicle bounce up and down, like on camera.
Neat.
Yeah. So it was really cool to be in that experience. That's for sure. What's your thoughts? We got to get you out there.
I've done something to this picture. I'm going to send it to you. It's pretty neat. I have an app called Topaz, which is artificial intelligence based.
Yes.
Super resolution. Hang on a minute. What happened to my folder? There we go. Open.
So while we're waiting for Bob to kind of describe what we were seeing on the radio, it was interesting to see what's going on out there again. We're taking this weekend off. We're going to wait a week before we head back out there to see what's going to happen. Yes, we and when I say that too, everything that we do out there, we are trying to recreate. Okay? We want to make sure that, you know, if it's nothing, we're going to tell you it's nothing. If it was something and it's not there, we're going to show that. We're going to try and recreate it at the exact same time in the exact same lighting. We know where that photo was taken from, and we are going to try and see whether or not it was something. Or maybe it was just the lighting in the trees and it's complete pareidolia. I'm not saying either way right now. because one thing that we can do is we can sit there and say it's a blurry image, or we can sit there and say that it is something anomalous that we don't know. So that's what I'm saying right there. Look, Bob, I'm trying to do science.
Yep, I get it. Okay, so
trying. While you're looking at that, I'm going to get some audience questions here.
Yeah, please go ahead while I bring this up.
Absolutely.
I'll be bringing it up right now.
Let's go to the Doug Shelby to kick things off. Hey, Science Bob, you have previously said people who know really know have reason to fear for their life. Still, in today's age?
I think that there are David Grush and Matthew Brown and Steve, what's his name, and Jason Sands. They've all at one time or another worried about what was going to happen to them. And I don't think that's, it doesn't appear to be anywhere near as bad as it might have been at one time. But, they're given history. I think people have concerns, and okay. Hang on. Yeah, you can bring it up now.
All right. Hold on, where is it? There it is. What the heck did you do there?
I put I cropped and put topaz enhancement on it, and super focused on the piece. I mean, you could see the face and teeth clearly.
Kind of looks weird.
No kidding, but never mind. The face is clear. Eyes, ears, face. Anyway, I can do more work on it and send it to you later.
Yeah, do that.
Yep.
Do that. I appreciate that. All right. Let's get to another question here. Let's go to Kim. Having met Jake Barber, what is your assessment of his motivations?
Oh, he's a good guy. I mean, he's friendly, outgoing. He says he wants to help people find out what's going on with the stuff they're finding out in the desert. And I believe him. I don't see any reason not to believe him.
All right. When you first met him, did you have any preconceived notions, or were you just letting it go?
I had no idea what to expect, and he was immediately gracious and friendly and outgoing, and he had checked into me to see who I was. And so we interacted with, hung out, had beers. It was fun. He's a good guy.
Let's go to Seymour. Bob, are you concerned about the ramifications your association with Skywatcher comes with, as in future business ventures?
I'm not concerned about my involvement with them impacting my future business ventures. I founded Hawkeye 360 and Federated Wireless, and they are the basis of my net worth. And I think other things will come along that I'll be able to do and contribute to, whether as a consultant or as a potential investor or a potential partner. So I don't see it having anything negative, given their claimed intent to do decent publishable work. In other words, they intend to let the data speak for itself, from what I've been told and what I believe, what I've been assured.
What is the reputation behind the scenes of what Skywatcher does? Because I am, in the end, I like what they are doing. I like what they are trying to do. I do. I just don't like the way they're trying to change things all the time. But that being said, I do like what they are trying to bring to the table. So for you, what is the reputation behind the scenes?
So from what I've seen, they have benefited tremendously in terms of their ability to marshal resources, equipment, personnel, etc., that allows them to do a really, 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 really high-tech job of more thoroughly than almost anyone else has been able to do it outside of government. Because the people outside of government, as you've already stated, are highly restricted by the amount of funding they have. And the group of people funding Skywatcher are well heeled and have. The nice thing is this: I've asked questions about the backers and the funding, etc., and the answer was straightforward. They put a pot of money in the bank that's now controlled by Skywatcher LLC, and they aren't being told an outcome. They're being told, "Tell us what you find," and that's kind of where you want to be. I had that told me by 3 different people who ought to know. Inside.
Awesome. All right, let's go to Derek. Is there any political bias when selecting someone for Skywatchers or other groups?
No. I mean, look, they know I'm a Democrat and a bunch of them are Republicans, and it doesn't have anything to do with politics, and we don't discuss it.
Okay. Yeah, because they are in the end they are an independent group, and if they are ex-military or ex-government employees, the politics doesn't matter. The politics matters on the outside of the people, but on the inside there is a job to get done. Am I correct on that?
We are focused, and the people that are in there, they own other companies that do business with the government. They may have political viewpoints. I haven't even asked because I don't care. That's not what we're there for.
Let's go to Polly. Hi, Science Bob. What else do you think we should do as experiencers and believers in order to take this further?
Polly is a serious, long-time experiencer. She has had some serious, interesting experiences. Continue to try to interact with people that you feel can help you, inform you, etc., to the best of your ability. Like all of us, there's not a real phenomenon expert. We're all playing, look at it and see what we can figure out guessing games until we come to a reasonable conclusion that we can get a sufficient scientific data in order to make a reasonable hypothesis that's testable. And that's maybe wishful thinking on my part, but it's my personal preference is for us to try to do science. And so help science. You probably need to figure out kind of what's going on with you. To the extent you can find others that might inform you, you should do that.
All right, let's go to another one. Let's go to the Doug Shelby. Hi, Science Bob. Your best guess what exactly happened the last time we went to the moon, the dark side, in fact.
Well, we didn't go to the dark side. We orbited around the moon and landed on the side and it's not a dark side, it's the far side. So we landed on the near side. We haven't gone to the far side. The only country that we know of that's landed a thing on the far side are the Chinese, and they sent back a bunch of pictures which looked like rocks and dirt. So I don't know the answer. I know what a lot of people have claimed, but claims to me are it's not data, and I don't even have enough of the story under my control to say I believe something. So I just don't know.
Let's move on here. Let's go to Polly again. In my personal experience, I seem to be sleeping in my bed and parallel in another soil. How is astral traveling possible?
Wow, Polly, you ask hard questions. I don't know, to be honest with you. As a person who has experienced some weird things along that line, and including, sitting up once in which I had a blindfold. I went, whoa, I'm seeing through my blindfold, turning around and seeing where I was, and jumped back in because I was scared. this stuff is strange, and I just don't have a reasonable explanation I can offer for it. But it's a state of consciousness which is different from the one we wear all day while we're awake.
All right, let's move to another question here. Let's go to Kurt. Science Bob, why isn't the science community not taking the research of Sal Paez more serious?
They don't have funding. Literally, they don't have the funding to pursue this work. And a lot of people like me think if they tried to utilize the Sal Paez patent, the Navy would intervene and stop it, because the Navy owns the patent.
All right. Do you think then that there's a lot of scientists who are looking into this field who are not getting their just desserts because of funding or lack thereof?
I think there are a lot of scientists that would look into the field if they thought they could fund themselves, their students, and their workers. So that is the thing that's in the way. And I don't look, I mean, right now, the funding of educational institutions in the United States for research all the way down to all sorts of things is being stomped on by a sledgehammer with new policy. I don't see much happening in this area anytime soon, unless it's done privately. And that's hard to make real good science come from to everywhere, private funding, because mostly it comes from corporations. And they get contracts because the corporation wants a deliverable. It's just hard, Dave. It's hard.
I wouldn't want to be in those shoes.
No, me either. Not for this. I want to do basic science on this.
AJ's asking, Bob, does your tech integrate with Palantir to track people abroad, aka Gaza?
So if you're talking about Hawkeye 360 satellites track radio emitters on the Earth from orbit, or in the Earth's atmosphere, below them from orbit. And if Palantir can contract with Hawkeye to get data on people who are using, say, radios and cell phones and other things in Gaza, Hawkeye can help the government track them. Because that's what it's designed for, is to track radio signals, and cell phones, et cetera, are radios.
Let's go over to Carrie. Do you know anything about Project Beam?
I have seen nothing to make me believe it exists, much less know what it is. I just don't have a clue.
I'm wondering if he means Project Bluebeam.
He probably does, but still, I don't know anything about it.
Let's go to Polly here. Why don't we get more info from Galileo Project, in your opinion?
Remember what I said? Remember what I said about Gary Nolan? Avi Loeb is even more fierce. Until the paper, the data feeds, is put together and sent off for publication, gone through the editorial and peer review process, you won't see anything, because that's the way a scientist works. Especially Avi Loeb.
Is that because of of funding?
No, he has funding from what is the Breakthrough Listen whatever guy. He's got some funding from that guy, and but again, he wants to publish a peer-reviewed paper, and for Galileo's new telescope system to be part of a peer-reviewed paper showing their data, they have to do the process as it already exists. They go outside the process, they probably will have a hard time getting published. And his goal is to publish.
Fun one. This one just popped up in the chat room. I think it's fun. Science Bob, what's your favorite card game? My guess is Hearts or Gin.
Let's see. Neither. It's Canasta.
I thought you were going to say canasta. You look like a canasta kind of guy.
My grandmother and her friends taught me to play canasta. So I want you to imagine little 12, 13, 14-year-old Bob sitting at a table with a bunch of white-haired old ladies playing canasta. That's me.
That was a big game back then.
Oh, yes.
Big game back
I
then.
love it.
I remember watching my parents and my grandparents play canasta at the table until all hours of the night. And I'd end up falling asleep on the couch or something like that. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. We have 3.5 minutes before we go. I would say my game, just to throw it out there, I would say my game is crib. I love cribbage.
Yeah, that's a decent game, but I'm telling you, I prefer canasta.
What about chess? Are you a chess guy?
Yeah, I like chess. I'm not very good, but I like it.
When I was about 35, I started playing chess online. You know, when the online games just started coming out. Shows you my age now. I'm aging myself now. And I remember thinking I've always wanted to learn how to play chess. So I figured I'd go on. I think it was Yahoo Games at that point. If you remember Yahoo Games.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it still exists. But I would go on there, play beginner chess, and I was starting to learn. I go and buy a chess board, to practice on, and my mom and dad got me this beautiful chess board for Christmas, and I'm playing, and all of a sudden, my daughter's like, she's about 8 years old at the time. She's like, "Hey, Dad, can I learn chess too?" And I said, "Yeah." So I'm teaching her the few basics that I know. And Bob, I quit chess after playing her because she beat me in 8 moves. I think it was about her 4th time playing that she beat me in 8 moves. And I was like, I'm done with this stupid game.
But I'm going to tell you, but the way you learn is lose a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it. I get it. It's funny how, like, I look at the difference between my son, who will be 12. Oh, my goodness, he'll be 12 in 10 days. Wow. And my daughter, who's twice his age. And I look at them and I think, wow, how the games are different. I don't even think my son knows what checkers or chess is. Because most kids today, they're brought up with their iPad, or they're brought up with PlayStation or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's kind of weird.
Yep.
Kind of weird. We got about $1.50. Sorry, I ate up a few times with that. Let's go to Joe here. I don't know if you saw video number 2 on my channel, Bob, where he's wondering if you can explain why the camera went into slow motion.
I didn't see it, so I don't even know.
Oh, you'll have to see it. Do me a favor, Science Bob, as we get ready to wrap things up. I apologize. There's about 7, 8 questions I didn't get to tonight. I apologize. But do me a favor, Bob, with the final minute. Tell everybody what you're up to, where they could get a hold of you, your ham radio sign, your everything on Connecting with Science Bob.
Yeah, so I'm Science Bob McGwier _N4HY on X or Twitter. And the N4HY is my amateur radio call sign. And then on Facebook, I'm Bob McGwier, and you can find me and Lala Bright on Facebook. And she's Lala Bright 59 on X. And my email is rwmcguire@gmail.com. So reach out if you want to. People don't have trouble finding me because I'm not really trying to hide.
Well, we love you around here, Science Bob. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, because it's always entertaining when we got you. Science Bob and Friends will continue next month. Coming up next on the show, we got Swamp Dweller. And then right after that, little Timmy James will be here with the UFO Report. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you.
It was my fun, my pleasure, buddy. You know it was.
Always. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
It'll be great.
All right. Get some sleep.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Science Bob, everybody. Science Bobbert. Right there. Don't forget, after the show, Sweet Robbie G will be here with I think his show's coming up here, is it not? Sweet, are you coming up? Yep. Yep, good. I'll be right back, everybody. All right. Here we go. Let's bring in little Timmy James. How you doing, buddy?
Good, bud. And you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. Had a good night.
Excellent. Yeah. I was sitting here doing a bunch of stuff on the computer, and obviously, as you know, and then listening to you and Bob get going there, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I'm a whiner for it. I just whine.
Yeah, well. You know what they say about opinions?
Yeah. I got you. Not worried about it.
No, of course not.
We have 40 seconds. Swamp Dweller will be, I think, about 5 minutes.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. So.
Thank you tonight to Kitty ×2, T-Bone ×2, Mike, Bob, Oob, Amy, Dead, and Lou for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and the support. Hi, Chris. Teen, how are you? Good to have you here. And don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why, Tim?
Because we have 0 ugly swag, people.
0. Here we go. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We have Swamp Dweller and Little Timmy James coming up on the UFO report, so thank you very, very much. Hey, we want to remind or say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Juglandaceous. Juglandaceous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. My family traveled a lot, only because we were a military family. If we had the choice, we would stay in one place forever. Now, because we traveled a lot, we had a fair share of stories. Us getting robbed, natural disasters, car crashes, but none like this one. And what makes it suspicious is that it happened to only me. It was January 14th in New York. I turned 9 in 5 weeks, so if anyone else had a birthday as a kid, you would know that I was hyped. It was already bad enough that I had anxiety and insomnia, so I would stay up nearly every night, and this night was no different. After a good dinner of spaghetti, I went straight to bed. My little brothers were already asleep and my parents were relaxing in the room watching TV. I tried to get some sleep by putting my head under the pillow. Every now and then I would peek at the clock. 9:01, 10:13, 11:20. I got up to check if my parents were still up. Sure enough, they were asleep, TV still on. I went back to my room to try to sleep more. It got cold fast. I looked outside and it was snowing lightly. I looked at my clock and it was 11:27. I got slightly annoyed at how I was unable to sleep. I flopped back on my bed and turned into a blanket burrito. I managed to fall asleep eventually. Then, I woke up terrified. I looked at the clock. It was off. I slowly walked to my clock to see if it was unplugged. It was still plugged in. I started to cry a bit. I then heard a noise outside. It sounded like a mix of a goat and a coyote. I looked outside. It was heavily snowing at this point. I couldn't see anything clearly, not even the houses on the other side. I then heard something fall and break downstairs. I started to have a panic attack. This happens rarely. I then instinctively took out my pocket knife my dad gave me when I was still in Cub Scouts. I quickly opened it and walked out the door. Something sounded like it was sprinting at my door with light footsteps, then slammed my door shut. It opened inwards. I ran back to my bed and held up my dog stuffed animal I named 10. I decided to man up, or little boy up, and ran to the door. I opened it and held my knife to the side. Nothing was there. I ran downstairs. Again, nothing was there. I went to the kitchen. Apparently a bunch of my mom's spice shakers broke. I forgot what specific ones, but they were expensive. Fortunately, both of my parents are heavy sleepers. I looked at the microwave. No time. It appears that all the power was off. Probably from the snowstorm if I had to guess. My little brain decided to walk outside, for whatever reason. I put on shoes, a coat, and went to the back door. Nothing. Nothing at all was out there. I heard another noise, though. It was the same noise. It sounded like it came from the woods. I then went to the fence and peeked through a little crack in between the planks. I saw a dead deer laying down. I will not go into details, but it looked like a pile of ketchup mixed with squished up tomatoes. The smell was bad. It seemed fresh. I walked back to the porch very and reasonably disturbed. I sat down on a snow-covered chair. I was slightly shivering. I heard heavy footsteps coming from the woods, but as they got closer, they sounded a bit weird, to say the least. I walked back into my house slowly as to not alert whatever it was. Then I went upstairs. I locked the door, both locks, and then heard a gravelly deep moan coming from upstairs right as I was about to walk up them. I walked up the stairs and stood in front of the closet. It stopped as soon as I took the last step. At this point, I had enough and jerked the door open. Again, there was nothing there. Then I heard scurrying in the living room. I jumped down the stairs. This was a bad decision. I tripped and landed on my face flat. I woke up dazed but not in any pain. Yet, I looked at the living room and saw a large, tall, bulky figure. It seemed to be gray, but I did not know for sure. It had large, empty eye holes, and its mouth looked like melted cheese. I stayed on the floor. The thing did not move. It just stared at me blankly. Then its jaw gaped open slowly, about the size of our TV. It then ran off into the kitchen, and I heard the back door close. I was laying on the floor for a good while. I then got up and cleaned my nose, surprisingly not broken, but very bruised. I slowly crawled up my bed and slept there peacefully. My parents woke up to find the spices broken, blood on the floor, and a dead deer outside. I told them what happened, but no dice. I remember it clearly to this day, and they still do not believe me. Luckily, we moved to Texas, and there's no more snow for me.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you got thousands of stories right there for you to choose from. Really, really enjoy his programming, so make sure you check it on out. Let's go to Tim of the UFO Report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Here we go, little Timmy James. Good to have you back in the shop. You've been working your tail off tonight trying to get episode 3 of Something in the Forest going up on YouTube, our YouTube channel. How's that going?
Oh, this is going to be a good episode. It's going well. There's some stuff that I had to go back into, and yeah, it was kind of had some weird things happening on the video, so I had to go in and basically repair, I guess, for is the best term. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's going pretty good. I think episode 3 is going to be a barn burner.
Apparently, when we do our wave
Mm-hmm.
at each other, which is, you know, the old man's wave, because you're like 95,
96.
96. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
that's okay.
52. And apparently we're throwing up gang signs when we give the old man wave.
No. Okay. Well, that I guess that may be a possibility somewhere, but not where
Yeah.
we live. You got to have your
For
hat
our
on.
for our radio audience, every time you never see it, but every time Tim and I see each other, we literally wave at each other, and we do the old man wave. You know the way your grandpa used to wave, kind of the arm kind of cocked, and the open fingers, and and then they would kind of point at you, like the wave is for you, and then they'd reopen their fingers. The old man wave.
That's
As a
right.
grandpa now, I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah,
I'm totally allowed to do
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, for sure. No, and yeah, it just happens naturally now. It's so weird. Dave shows up at my house, and then the first thing we do is we do the old man wave at each other, or on YouTube, or it doesn't matter. It always happens. It just
It always
happens.
happens. It always happens. And I figured when I became a grandpa 2 years ago, I'm gonna start something here. And it's the wave. It's
Yeah.
totally the wave.
No
You know.
question.
It just shows my crankiness as I'm getting older. Not a whiner, just cranky. That's all.
Yeah, but we've earned it at this age, I think.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, I saw you and Science Bob were talking about the article that Mr. Greenstreet wrote, but he did a interview with a guy from Arrow, so Tim Phillips. So in a gripping new interview with investigative journalist Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post, Tim Phillips, the former deputy director of Arrow, peeled back the curtain on the U.S. government's ongoing efforts to unravel the enigma of UFOs and UAPs. The discussion, rich with insight into Arrow's mission, revealed a tantalizing focus on one particular mystery: black triangle UFOs that continue to apparently baffle investigators. Phillips' candid remarks offered a rare glimpse into the Pentagon's rigorous yet inconclusive pursuit of answers about objects displaying capabilities beyond known human technology. So the conversation with Greenstreet zeroed in on the so-called black triangles. UFOs described as large triangular objects, often reported hovering silently or moving with extraordinary agility. When asked which cases perplexed him most, Phillips didn't hesitate: the black triangles. He revealed that Arrow has investigated videos, photos, and documents related to these objects, which exhibit flight characteristics and performance that the U.S. cannot currently replicate. While Phillips leaned towards the possibility of adversarial technology, he admitted the data doesn't fully align with any known human-made systems, leaving open questions about their origins. The acknowledgement comes against the backdrop of Arrow's latest findings. Obviously, in its fiscal year of 2024 consolidated annual report, released in November, Arrow documented 757 new UFO UAP reports from May 2023 to June of 2024, bringing the total to over 1,600 cases since the office's inception. Of these, 21 cases were flagged as truly anonymous. So the interview also touched on Arrow's efforts to enhance its investigative capabilities. Phillips highlighted the development of the Gremlin system, a portable sensor kit designed to capture real-time multiple spectral data during UAP encounters. The technology is still in refinement and aims to provide clear evidence by deploying to sensitive sites where UFOs are reported. We're learning a lot about what's in orbit and how to eliminate those as anomalous objects, Phillips said, suggesting progress is ruling out mundane explanations like satellites or drones. However, the black triangles, with their reported ability to maneuver in ways that challenge conventional physics, continue to resist such categorization. Greenstreet pressed Phillips on the possibility of extraterrestrial origins, a topic Arrow has consistently downplayed. Phillips reiterated the office's stance, echoed in the March 2024 Historical Record Report, Volume 1, that no verifiable evidence supports claims of alien technology. Instead, he suggests some UFO UAP sightings might stem from misidentified U.S. programs or foreign adversaries' capabilities. Yet his uncertainty about the black triangles hinted a deeper complexity. There are the cases we don't understand, he admitted, underscoring the need for better data and to resolve whether these objects represented breakthrough technology or something else entirely. So the discussion wasn't without Street, known for his critical take on UFO claims, probed Phillips about allegations of government cover-ups. Phillips dismissed notions of hidden extraterrestrial programs, asserting that AARO's investigations into classified records since 1945 found no evidence of off-world contact. He also addressed claims of fake UFO-related special access program, suggesting it was likely a misinterpretation of advanced U.S. technology used to mask other classified projects. Still, the Black Triangle case stands out as a thorn in AARO's side. Unlike the New Jersey incidents of 2024, which AARO attributed to non-anomalous drones or aircraft, the triangles exhibit behaviors silent, hovering, rapid acceleration, or transmedium capabilities that do not neatly fit into known categories. Phillips' admission that these cases involved anomalies we don't understand marks a departure from the office's typical dismissive tones, offering slivers of intrigue for those who suspect the truth lies beyond conventional explanation. So as AARO transitions under the new leadership of Dr. John Kugloski, now at the helm, Phillips' reflections highlight both progress and persistent mysteries. The Black Triangles, with their documented yet unexplained characteristics, remain a focal point for investigators. While AARO's data-driven approach has debunked many UFO as mundane, the unresolved case keeps the door ajar for speculation. Are these triangles the work of a secret adversary, a leap in human technology, or something more extraordinary? For now, as Phillips's interview with Greenstreet makes clear, the answer remains just out of reach, hovering like mysterious objects themselves. So I was kind of, especially with the article, I was kind of, my brain was like, okay, you just put the one out about the UFOs and the government handing out photos and stuff of fake UFOs to try to mislead people in the public. And then he gets into this. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I like his style. I feel that he's an okay journalist, or he's a good journalist. But yeah, it just seems to be this kind of, he's digging deep in the last couple of interviews on stuff, and I'm not sure what's going on there.
Here's what I like about the article. And there are a lot of people out there who love Stephen Greenstreet and a lot of people who criticize him, maybe even a bunch of people out there who believe he is somebody on the disinformation campaign. Right. There is rumor that he is on the government take for trying to bring down this subject. I mean, this is all information that's been put out in the public, and there's a lot of opinions about whether or not, he's doing a service or disservice to the UFO community. Right. However, and I'll be honest with you, I've bumped heads with him online before, and you know what? We haven't seen eye to eye on a lot of stuff, but on this article, I would say that he's bang on. He really is.
Right. Yeah.
And Science Bob even put it that Greenstreet was right. There were many programs over the decades that had these stories come out because they wanted to protect the technology.
Sure.
And if people would have seen something, and you got to realize, for the first number of years in their life, let's take the F-117 stealth fighter for a second. That actually entered service in 1981, I believe. Okay, I might be wrong on that. It might be 79, which means that aircraft was probably designed around 1971, 72, 73, before going into testing and then eventually going into service.
Mm-hmm.
So if we say 1981, nobody knew about that craft publicly until 1989 when it came out, and then 1990 rolls in, and 1991 comes together, and all of a sudden that's a frontline fighter going into the first set of bombing in Iraq during
Right.
the first Gulf War. So when you look at that, those jets only flew at night.
Mm-hmm.
They only flew at night. The B-2 bomber only flew at night. The B-1 bomber only flew at night while it was in testing. There's a lot of aircraft that only flew at night.
Right.
Because under the night, you can obviously hide things. Right?
Yeah.
It's obvious. I mean, I'm no expert on this, but that's definitely something. So the fact that when people did see something a little bit different flying at night, it's easier to say that they put it out as a UFO story
Mm-hmm.
for the cover-up rather than saying, by the way, we're testing stealth aircraft, or in today's day and age, hypersonic aircraft, or
Mhm.
whatever it may be. We don't know if the U.S. government has been running hypersonic aircraft for years. It's theorized that they've been doing it for the last 25 plus years, but it's not confirmed. So that part of the story, the way he delved into it with Tim Phillips, the former assistant director of Aero under Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, I thought it was a great piece and added a new conspiracy to the UFO community. It really did. Now, on the flip side, do I think it's the final story of it all, that it's all man-made objects and there's nothing UFO? No, not at all.
Mm-mm.
No, and this is where I've always said, UAP are man-made objects and UFOs are not. And I think that shows with that, that this has been a cover-up for a long, long time. And we shouldn't dismiss the fact that it is. And it's not just Green Street coming out with this. I've talked to a number of insiders over the last couple years, especially the last year,
Mm-hmm.
who have confirmed this quite quickly and frequently, saying we need to be able to know that this technology is out there.
Right.
There's a reason why in hot spots around the world where the U.S. has military bases, where all of a sudden in the middle of the night, the bases will go black and
Right.
all lights out, because that means something that we've never seen before lands there, probably refuels, and gets back up in the air as quickly as possible.
Sure.
And the only people who are probably watching this are those in the control tower, those who are having to fill it up, and those who are probably, have the top secret clearance for safety. Maybe doctors or firefighters or
Sure.
EMTs. I guess doctors wouldn't be on there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think that is the way that they feel that they need to keep superiority, and why not hide it through UFOs? It makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it adds another conspiracy layer to everything that we've been doing, and it's a fun conspiracy
Sure.
because we don't know what they're flying now.
Mm-mm.
We can assume the Tic Tac is alien, but is it? We don't know. We can assume other craft, like the triangles that have been called TR-3Bs
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, are man-made objects. But are they? I've seen two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I believe that the United States government probably has some of them, the ones I saw, I would not consider being UFO or a human made. Have
Right.
we copied that technology? There's a lot to get into with that, Tim. And
Oh.
I think Green Street hit the nail on the head with this one.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting that he's on it. And with the triangles, I think it was Mr.
Hold
Goodall.
that thought. Let's
Yeah.
continue this conversation when we come back. Spaced Out Radio, the UFO Report with Tim James continues.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, you're looking high and tight. Nice cut, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, looking
Thank
sharp.
you. I had a good day.
Oh, that's
I did.
awesome.
I had a good day today.
Good. Day off? Yeah, you had to have had the day
No,
off.
I actually had to go into the office today.
Oh, and you got your hair
But
cut
I'll
on
be
your...
off on I'll be off on Saturday.
Well,
I made a trade.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then again, too, your hair grew at work, so why not get it cut on work time?
Yeah. When I got asked to come in this morning, it was like, I said, well, I'm still going to get my hair cut and my beard trim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, videos. Yeah, it's gonna be good, man.
You're getting me excited.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. I think it's just from what occurred and what we had happen. It's a little more exciting. I overuse the word, but yeah.
So you're saying there's some things in there that you're going to hold off on saying?
No, there are things that you know about, right? But there's things that the audience and people don't know about, and I just don't want to. It's like when you go to the movies and you watch a trailer and it's basically the whole movie.
I know. You know what? I guess I'm just so excited. I feel like a kid on Christmas Day, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I read Lon's report too. I was like, my goodness.
He has a remote viewer in Australia checking this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting deeper.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that I never would have imagined that he'd come, that they saw or they came up with, or it's like, what? But all I know is that we've been doing it right from the beginning by just being mellow.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the right approach.
We got 3 minutes.
What? So Saturday, what time are we doing this thing?
Be prepared for an all day, all night.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's you and I start at 2,
mm-hmm.
and then there's another person, then I go right after that,
mm-hmm.
and then we're doing the barn.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. I'll fill you in tomorrow morning.
Yeah, for sure. Get lots of hits on that picture too, eh?
Yeah. I still don't. I'm torn with the picture.
Me too.
Because I want to believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
of course.
want to believe, but I want to be so sure. Because I know there's going to be the people who are like, it's pareidolia. It's just a blur. It's just, there's nothing there. That's why I put in there kind of sarcastically, all right, armchair researchers, and like, do your best. Like, I want to believe we caught what we think we caught.
I do too. I agree.
But I want to be 100% before saying it is what it is.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And we're definitely not force feeding it. This is for everybody's view and their opinions.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, if it ain't, it ain't what it is. That's fine. Or what we think it is. That's totally fine. That's what we're doing this for.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? Like I don't want to say yes or no. I know what I want to believe.
Yeah.
Which is obviously I want it to be a Sasquatch.
100%.
But I can't definitively 100% say that's what it is. And when we go back, we definitely are going to have to try and recreate whatever that is if the sun is shining.
Oh, no, of course. Of course.
All right. But that's pretty much it. You can find the pictures on our Facebook group or Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio, my Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and where else did I put it? Oh, my Facebook profile as well.
Yeah.
All right, we got 7 seconds. Hi, Richard. How you doing? Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're in the UFO Report with Tim James. We'll get to him momentarily. It's so good to be able to speak to you about these awesome, amazing topics on this show each and every night. And thank you for tuning us in. We really do appreciate it. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you know you can always check out our archives for free. They're always free. Why are they free, Tim?
Because that's the way you like it, Dave.
It's the way I like it, whining and all. That's the way I like it. Yeah. I'm going to get some play out of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We keep it free because, you know what? This is a true story. I've said it before. Maybe you've never heard it. I remember being a poor college student, going to broadcasting school. Thank you for the violins. I appreciate that. And I remember listening to Art Bell at night, driving home in the middle of the night after a 12-hour day at school, and I missed the one section that I wanted. But you know what? It was like $7.99 or $10.99 or per month membership to get the archives, and I just couldn't afford it. I was commuting to school. So I had to pay for gas, had to pay for food, had to pay for tuition, you know? So that's why when we did this show, we always wanted to keep the archives free. You know?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the reason. All right before the break, we were talking about the great article put out by the New York Post, Washington, or Wall Street Journal regarding the fact that the U.S. government has been using the UFO story to cover up secret flights and secret aircraft based out of places like Wright-Patterson, Area 51, and all across the country where they do test flights. And Science Bob earlier tonight admitted that, yes, this has been going on. It's been going on for decades. This is how we've hidden our basic fighters. And you know what's funny, Tim? Is you can go out to Tonopah Air Force Base in Nevada.
Right.
Okay, so the F-117 was taken out of military service in 2008 as a mainline fighter. Cost too much, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? You can actually still see them fly out of Tonopah Air Force Base.
Really?
So the question is, why is a retired fighter flying? Here's the answer to it. This is a true story.
Okay.
Those pilots that do the test flights, okay, that fly at night out of places. Let's use Area 51 as the example here.
Sure.
Those pilots still need to have daytime flying hours. So a lot of times what they will do is they will take these aircraft that people already recognize and are used to seeing. They will reconfigure the cockpits at times to be more like the cockpit they are flying at night. So that way when they fly, they're getting their daytime hours. And nobody is the wiser because they're used to seeing an F-117 stealth fighter fly in the sky, or they're used to seeing an F-15 or an F-16. They're used to that. So there's no point in moving it, and breaking the secrecy, so to speak, of what they actually are flying.
Right.
But if you think about how does a first generation stealth aircraft all of a sudden become, active, even though it's been inactivated or deactivated from regular service? Well, this is why. And isn't it weird that they're just by Area 51, like right around the corner, over the mountains? Maybe turn left.
Yeah, no, and I guess, and it makes sense. I mean, reconfiguring and the recognition of seeing them flying over, but reconfiguring the cockpit, getting their hours, and it becomes muscle memory as well, I suppose, right? Obviously, learning the instrumentation and the handling and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, also there's that muscle memory. But yeah, that's interesting. I never just would have thought of that, and that makes total sense. It's a good idea too if you're trying to keep something low profile.
Yeah, and I actually talked to a pilot who told me that these people, these pilots, these test pilots, maybe at Area 51, whoever they are, we don't know how many there are or whatever, but he said that they need to maintain, in the military, you need to maintain daytime and nighttime flight hours for testing and training. So in order to keep your wings, you need to do it. Well, all of a sudden, let's make up a plane right now. If you're flying the SR-75, or you're flying a new fifth generation stealth fighter that nobody's ever seen or would recognize, you can't fly that during the day.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
So you might as well be in something that's recognizable.
Sure. Completely makes sense. That I think that's a great idea, actually, and yeah, perfect.
All right, what else you got for us tonight?
Well, there was a press conference in Malden, in the States today at the Malden Irish Club, and it was revealed. This is in Massachusetts. It was revealed that a collection of newly translated Soviet era documents titled "Engineering Infinity: Earth's First Interstellar Blueprint," which allegedly detail Cold War efforts to reverse engineer UFO propulsion and spaceflight systems. So the event held today drew media and public attention to a decades-old archive inherited by Natalia Stiko, a Boston-based opera singer originally from Latvia, from her late father, Valery Chernohayev, a Soviet aerospace engineer. The presentation was led by Nadia, and her husband, Gene, a retired U.S. Air Force staff sergeant and intelligence contractor, and Mario Fiallo, an enterprise system architect. The trio spent 4 years translating analyzing the documents, which they claim offer insight into Soviet attempts to understand and replicate extraterrestrial technology during the Cold War. The archive left behind is said to include technical schematics and reports on advanced propulsion systems, sparking interest among ufologists and researchers. So the press conference highlighted the document's potential implications for science and national security. Organizers emphasized that the materials, previously inaccessible due to the language barrier and Soviet secrecy, could reshape discussions about UFOs. While no physical artifacts were displayed, the team presented excerpts from the translated archives describing propulsion concepts that challenge conventional aerospace engineering. Skeptics, however, urged caution, noting the lack of independently verified evidence tying the documents to extraterrestrial technology. Some attendees questioned whether the material could reflect Soviet efforts to develop advanced terrestrial systems, possibly as a part of psychological warfare or disinformation campaigns during the Cold War. The absence of peer-reviewed scientific analysis was also raised as a concern. The event comes amid broader interest in UAP and UFO following U.S. government reports, such as the 2024 Pentagon Historical Record Report by AARO, which found no evidence of U.S. reverse engineering of alien spacecraft. The Malden press conference, by contrast, positions the Soviet documents as counterpoint, suggesting that similar efforts may have occurred behind the Iron Curtain. Organizers invited the public to explore the implications of engineering infinity, framing it as a step towards transparency in the study of UFOs. The documents are expected to be made available for further scrutiny through details on their release remain unclear. The event concluded with a call for scientific collaboration and validation validating the findings, leaving attendees with lingering questions about the intersection of Cold War history and the enduring mystery of UFOs. Thought that was kind of cool. So wait to see when those documents come out, because, you know, they will come out in the future, as everything always does. Nothing comes out in one big lump. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I mean, I guess I look at it, you know, like we're all scrambling to try and find what the answer is. Where are we going with the answer?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different paths right now in the UFO/UAP world.
Oh, yeah.
That we really cannot seem to, you know, figure out which path should we take to find, lack of a better term, the truth. And, you know, I hate that term when it comes to what we're doing, is what it, and I saw you get shocked there that I said the path to the truth. You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, to kind of quote what Bob said, Science Bob said earlier, they're going to throw us on so many different rabbit holes that we're not going to know which way is up anymore.
Yeah.
You know, now you talk Soviets, you talk stealth technology, you talk, you know, hidden technologies and all sorts of anti-gravitics and everything. It just gets a little bit odd, don't you think?
I agree completely. I find that this is, and I think we've discussed this, you know, many times. I think that sometimes when there's random, I guess I could say random, when these things are coming in the UFO world from all these different directions, it just seems that there's something else that's going on that's hidden behind that curtain, and they just bombard us with oddball stuff that you know, focus over here, and then you focus to the right, you focus to the left, I agree. I think that this is just a big smokescreen, and they're just throwing everything out there that they can that will bite on, right? They're fishing, or not fishing, but they're throwing bait in the water. They're chumming the water.
That is part of the game, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ugly cover-up. And look, people are emotional about it. I'm emotional about it.
Yeah.
You know, because as experiencers, yes, they're trying to promote more of the scientific side, but for a lot of people out there, myself included and others, this is personal.
Yeah.
It's not about the anti-gravitics. It's not about the science or the free energy or anything that goes along with that. It is really about the personal issue that we have with these subjects. Okay? And look, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself and the people who I talk to about the subject. Okay, not all the audience, because I'm talking to them every day. But, you know, there are people that, you know me, Tim, you've been around me. My phone is always going off.
Uh-huh.
It's not fun.
No.
But when I talk to people who've had experiences, the technology and the science behind it all doesn't matter to them. It's interesting.
Sure.
I mean, man, if we could get some technology out there that we could actually use for the good of humanity.
Yes.
Okay. And I think of anti-gravitics. I think of free energy. I mean, man alive. I mean, never mind how quickly the planet would become unpolluted. Okay, but just imagine how we could use that same technologies and eventually morph and develop, you know, patents and technology that could really help people, whether it's farming or whether it's helping somebody who has had a heart attack or somebody who has had health issues their entire life, or, you know, could we cure something in young children being born with spina bifida, or cancer, or whatever it may be? You know, I mean, there are so many potentials to this technology. It would be amazing to have it. But we also know that military-industrial complex says we won't see it. In our lifetime, we won't see it, if ever.
Yeah.
And if we do see it, it's already going to be well past its prime date.
Oh, absolutely. And you know that they're going to be using that technology for advancement in, quote, national security, I'm sure, right? That's their first and foremost, it seems to me, I should say, their first and foremost thing to do would be to worry about national security. And yeah, never mind the kids that are ill, like you say.
We got about 6 minutes there, Tim. I don't
All
know
right.
how that happened.
No, that's okay. I thought it was
just
me.
talking
I'm like,
to you, and all of a sudden my mic was on mute.
oh, darn.
Weird.
So-
I didn't even touch any buttons there.
It's
Like,
been-
usually it's my fault. Okay?
Yeah, I get it.
Usually it's my fault. Did you accidentally mute me? Because you got control of the studio.
No, I was sitting back here and I'm like, but anyway,
Man,
we're back to normal.
taking away my voice. Taking away my voice. Look at
So, yeah, I got
All right,
something.
we got about 5.5 minutes now. What else do you have for us?
Yeah. No, I got something kind of cool here. So, it's a bit of a woo thing. So, just came out yesterday. So, scientists found mysterious sarcophagus or sarcophagi with an unsolved message in Antarctica. So, an international team of scientists has made a remarkable discovery in Antarctica, one that raises more questions than answers. During a series of research expeditions on the icy continent, a group of researchers from the US, Russia, and China and India uncovered 4 unusual black sarcophagi. These artifacts of unknown origin have sparked intrigue and speculation within the scientific community, prompting theories about their purpose and the meaning of the enigmatic signals they seem to contain. So, the discovery of the black sarcophagi is unlike any other found in Antarctica. These objects were not just typical archaeological artifacts, they appear to have an advanced design, one that did not fit with any known human history. Upon opening one of them, the scientists encountered an even more puzzling find. Inside was a hot metallic cylinder etched with thin, mysterious lines. The object's temperature and peculiar markings only added to the air of mystery surrounding the sarcophagi. With the cylinder inside the sarcophagus seemingly capable of holding immense energy or power, the team of researchers made the decision to leave the sarcophagi undisturbed. They carefully returned the objects to their original location, citing safety concerns and an inability to fully comprehend the nature of the find. Yet, the unanswered questions surrounding the discovery continued to puzzle scientists worldwide. Among the many theories surrounding the sarcophagi's origin and purpose, one in particular has gained attention. A Chinese researcher proposed a bold hypothesis that the sarcophagi may serve as devices designed to block signals from Earth. According to this theory, these mysterious objects could be functioning as a protective mechanism against the potential invasion from beyond our planet. While this theory may sound outlandish to some, it speaks to the growing interest in the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The idea that ancient or advanced civilizations could have hidden such technology in remote locations like Antarctica suggests that we may not be as alone in the universe as previously thought. The notion that the sarcophagi may protect the Earth from outside threats offers a chilling glimpse into what lies beyond the understanding of space and time. So, the discovery of these artifacts has raised more questions than answers, many of which remain unresolved. What is the true purpose of these sarcophagi? Are they messages left from an ancient civilization, or are they something far more advanced, perhaps even extraterrestrial? The mysterious metallic cylinders inside the sarcophagus remain a focal point for speculation, with many scientists eager to learn more about its composition and potential function. As research into the sarcophagi continues, it is clear that this discovery will remain one of the most perplexing finds in modern scientific exploration. The mystery of these objects and their purpose will likely continue to capture the imagination of scientists, historians, and the general public alike, sparking further investigation into what lies beneath the icy surface of Antarctica.
Oh, there's so much weird stuff in Antarctica, man.
I know, right? Very weird. Yeah, I thought that was a good woo story. I was like, whoa,
That is
really?
a good woo story.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing about when you talk about hieroglyphics and everything,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I always question when I hear about that, because we always seem to be focused on the Mayan temples or Egypt or Göbekli Tepe or places that are famous like that.
Sure.
In North America, if we focus on North America for a second, I just want to go off on a tangent because you know I'm good at that.
Yeah.
In North America, we have hieroglyphics all over the place from First Nations people who have been here for centuries and millennia. And a lot of those stories actually tell the same type of stories that are found in Egypt or in the Mayan temples or the temples in Brazil or wherever around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a common story that is being told that there is monsters out there, that there was aliens and UFOs visiting them back then. And considering they didn't have any written language back then, they had to draw pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even in our area here,
That's right.
you know, we have a lake out here that has one of the largest First Nations bands in the province. Okay, and if you go way back in the lake against the rocks, there's hieroglyphics
Mm-hmm.
painted on those rocks that have been there for thousands of years.
So cool.
And the stories that they tell. So the fact that there's these in Antarctica as well, I think it's impressive. I do.
Yeah. Completely. And
It's a lot less woo than what we think.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the old studying Antarctica, they figured that there was rivers and stuff that they found that ran underneath all that ice. So what was it before it became covered with ice?
Right? Exactly. Tim James, thank you for a great UFO report, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you here. We'll see you tomorrow night as we say goodnight to Tim. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar, God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your car, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
Don't make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right. Good job.
No doubt.
Good job tonight, everybody. Good job. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All of a sudden, my nose got all plugged up. And
You're getting allergies in your old age?
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Because they can hit you at any time, you know.
What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Live
What
with
do you
it.
do? What do
Claire-
you do?
Right
All
on, right
right.
on.
Tomorrow night on the show, Courtney Marcassani is going to join us. We're going to have another UFO update. It'll be good. Yes, Courtney will be here. She's already promised me that her technology is working good, and she will be here. My voice is a little sore today, so I'm going to call it quits here for tonight. Big thank you to our super chatters, Kitty Cattywhack ×2, T-Bone ×2, Mike, Oob to Joe's Main, Amy, and Dad. We appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Tim, stick around for 2 minutes.
Yep.
And to the rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow night. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. We love you and appreciate you tuning us in. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.